Rock, paper, scissors.
That's right
here.
That's right.
We're about to jump into the next match. JaZe here, obviously strong player, but I think he had somewhat of a rocky run, you know, in a round robin. It definitely wasn't clear cut. Obviously, that can be said about basically all these players
in NA.
Here.
Yeah, nothing was really that clear cut.
Right.
But let's talk about his matchup against Botalz, and specifically here, two very interesting things that you mentioned before. Botalz brings Seraph.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's not necessarily too strange. We've seen Seraph here and there, definitely not commonly, but not uncommonly
Botalz is known for bringing Seraph, at least recently. Botalz has gone like over the top with just playing Seraph almost in every tournament. And JaZe, while this tournament structure today is they just have to play through, JaZe actually is playing these counter decks to Botalz. He's got 2 decks with multiple Odins in them. So we'll see if JaZe, if he does manage to beat Botalz after teching against him so heavily, if he can even move on beyond this, because he's got a lot of cards that might not do anything against the decks in the future. All right, so let's go into this matchup right now. So JaZe is playing his version of Wallet Forest, and Botalz is playing a very interesting deck. So this is a deck I actually had to look through before the tournament started. He's playing Vengeance Midblood with Bloody Mary, with Dire Bond, with Blood Moon, and with Revelation. So completely outside the box.
Sounds like a drink you get at Sonic. You just put everything in it.
Exactly.
I want every flavor, fam.
Exactly. So JaZe definitely playing a deck that we saw yesterday, just really late game dragon style forest versus Botalz crazy shenanigans deck. I really like this deck. I want to see how it does.
And we're obviously calling it dragon style forest, not because it can ramp, but because it's playing, you know, big stuff that dragon normally does.
Exactly.
Really weird to see a Alucard.
Yeah, like I said, it's quite literally like old Vengeance Blood, except it's got like this weird mix of I also want to play Control Blood in it.
See a sign from JaZe. I think it said Curry.
JaZe is super happy.
Botalz' hand is not shaping up to be useful at all. His hand is very cloggy.
Very cloggy. He does have some life gain in it with the Diabolic Drains. The Bloody Mary, of course, not going to be doing anything except for maybe evoing into something on turn 5, but probably wants to save that for later in the game.
See him draw a Dark Air Jammer. They're continuing to just brick his hand, having no access to Vengeance through Belphegor. So that's not good.
Realistically, he has the time, because it's not like traditional Vengeance Blood where you just need to get there as fast as possible, because he is playing the Revs, he is playing the Diabolic Drains, and all of that slower stuff.
Well, he's got about as much time as it takes for JaZe to play Bahamut.
That's right.
So
that's exactly right.
If he doesn't get this train moving, it's going to be bad.
That's right. So he does have to win at some point before these big, big dragon style cards from 4 start coming down. Absolutely.
Big literal dragons.
That's right. Big literal dragons. That 13/13 in hand. For those of you who don't know Bahamut, Bahamut's my favorite card in the game, and I'll tell you why.
Oh no!
I know it's weird.
No.
Weird. The reason why it's my favorite is not only because it's the sweetest looking art in the game when it's animated, but the second reason is because when you attack with him, it's a freaking laser beam from a dragon.
I disagree on the first point.
Okay.
Prince of Darkness.
Okay. Looks
amazing animated, and your entire Apocalypse deck is animated.
Okay. So, okay. That's fair.
Disagree there. See a Carrot Evolve, and actually spending Lily even just to get another 2/2 on the board.
Yep.
But Botal's hand, he's drawing every useless card. He drew Bloody Mary into Air Jammer into Dark General.
Yeah. What's actually pretty funny is that normally you would see a control style forest deck like what JaZe is playing. Hold the lilies, just like be reactive,
exactly,
that kind of thing. But he noticed, or maybe even after looking at Botalz' deck, that it's kind of a clunky mid-range, maybe late-game deck. So putting out the pressure is actually very effective right here.
He has correctly identified that Botalz' hand is garbage. He has nothing in his hand.
Right. He's got a couple do-nothings here, a couple do-nothings there, but he does have to worry about putting Botalz into Vengeance, because if he does, Botalz' entire hand turns on, except for Bloody Mary, of course.
Right.
Bloody Mary, for those of you who don't know, 5-play, 0.45. When it comes into play, or as it's in play, whenever you take damage on your turn, it deals that much damage to your opponent instead of you. So you combo it with cards like the Blood Wolf that you saw, or with Dire Bond, which is the amulet that makes you take 6.
Razor Claw, 2 play points, do 5. Exactly. Sounds pretty good, but you got to play Bloody Mary first.
Right.
So.
Right. You do have to play the Bloody Mary first. So let's see what options JaZe has right now. He could Sylvan Justice for an easy clear on the ward and push face. Doesn't even have to Evo.
He drew a second Tina, though.
Yep.
So,
Tina,
you know,
very useful.
Just like you just said, putting him in a Vengeance is already dangerous. And Tina into a Fairy, you know, Tina can attack this whole board. She can get rid of all of it. You can do 2 face damage and then put a Fairy also on the board. And I think, you know, as long as Botalz has no answer to that,
I like it.
but that's the best play. He can't Revelate. You know, he'd have to put himself in Vengeance with a 2 play point card that would do 2 damage to him if you do that. And then that's having another Blood Wolf, another Razor Claw, and then also having Revelation.
Right.
So I think JaZe's gonna go for the gamble there.
Yeah, I like this. I like dealing the 2 damage. I never like playing around the fact that they could Revelation with like a Blood Pact or a Razor Claw or something like that.
He does, however, go for Sylvan Justice into Carrots and probably Fairy. So it looks like he's going to do similarly what I said. He's going to end up doing 2 probably face.
Yes.
Never doing 4 here,
no,
obviously.
Never do 4 here. We know it's bad. JaZe, without looking at the hand, knows it's bad.
Right.
Yeah.
Emeralda, his hand continues to just draw these late game cards.
If he can live, maybe pass another turn.
That's a pretty big if right now.
Yeah.
It's getting there. However, Bloody Mary can be played this turn in Evolved. You pop your last Evolve, but you've got so much follow-up.
That's right. There's at least 7 damage sitting in play. There's not really any way for JaZe to capitalize on that, so realistically he might just play safe for building up lethal all in one turn, but then again that's going to allow Botalz to start playing all of his 7 drops and beyond. So this will be a very interesting couple of turns here.
JaZe does have deck lists, though, so he knows that Alucard and Emeralda both exist.
Yep.
So the 7 play point mark is kind of a point for JaZe to think about.
Pretty big.
And Odin. And Odin.
That's right. So like I was talking about earlier, there are Odins appearing in multiple of JaZe's decks. So I'm assuming he did not ban out Seraph, so we're probably going to see Barif as Seraph's or as Botalz' other deck.
We're going to see an NGE Season 2 NA playoffs in 2017. We're going to see Odin hit Seraph.
That's right. I call it out. I can't imagine
2017 is almost over. All right, we're almost like 5 expansions in, and we're going to see Odin hit Seraph.
Right.
What a throwback.
What a throwback. So JaZe really just has all the power here. It just depends on what he wants to do with it.
Right.
He could easily take out the Bloody Mary. He could just deal 1 damage with a Fairy and set up a bunch more damage.
And that is
here.
kind of important, because if he could have done 2 damage to himself last turn, he probably would have done it, right? Put himself in Vengeance.
Now, also again, like, how is he going to push the 11 damage once he puts him to 11? Maybe he's just trying to keep him there until the late game to make Bahamut a one-shot or something like that.
It is kind of awkward with this hand, with this deck even, to push that damage. He's actually just going to trade value-wise, not even do 1.
I like it, yeah. And maybe even just play the Fairy here.
Or play a Tina.
Or play a Tina. Yeah, he's got 2 and only 1 Evolution Orbs left, so. And just not attack with that Lily.
Alucard's kind of a card, you know, doesn't actually need Vengeance to be useful at all. There's a Blood Wolf, he can put himself in Vengeance, but I imagine he'll keep that. But it also makes Alucard weird.
So he could play Blood Wolf, General, and Direbond this turn.
Right.
Or, I mean, not Direbond, but Diabolic Drain.
Diabolic Drain, right.
And that's not a bad play. That would clear off pretty much the entire board if he wanted it to.
But do you clear board?
I mean, realistically, you're just trying to prevent your opponent from killing you, but you know your opponent's really slow, so yeah.
Against the deck you know has Bahamut?
I imagine, yeah, you're right. I imagine he's saving all of this damage for face. That's kind of what this deck aims to do, right? Like you just control the board and then you just storm out, you know, when you're in Vengeance to win the game.
I think actually even Alucard's gonna go face.
Interesting. That actually is a very heads-up play because he knows that JaZe can't finish him off, so just keep tempting him to do so.
And he does.
I like it.
Puts him at 13.
Perfect.
Botalz realizing, oh my gosh, that JaZe wasn't going to top deck that, of course. Botalz can't get rid of that. That wins the game.
That just changed the entire outlook of this game.
Botalz throws Carrot and Chrysalia Aaron into, or not Aaron, sorry, Lily, into Alucard, plays the Beauty and the Beast, evolves it, and just passes.
Yeah.
And the game is over.
Doesn't even do anything else with it. Botalz, because you can see it on Botalz' face, too. He knows he's in trouble.
Ironically enough, Botalz, to answer that, would need an Odin.
Right. Right.
But he doesn't have them.
Absolutely, yeah.
And he actually can't answer that.
Blood is one of the very few classes, I would say, that does not have any answers to Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast is just, like, literally unkillable to it. He's out of Evolution Orbs.
Diabolic Drain does no damage to it.
Yep, no damage to it.
So he can't even Dark General Diabolic Drain it.
And if JaZe keeps Botalz out of Vengeance, there's nothing but Blood Wolf that can even deal attack damage to it.
Right.
So that Beauty and the Beast is crazy good right now.
He's going to do exactly that. He's going to do... Yep. I think JaZe knows. He does know. If he attacks Alucard, though, if he evolves the Beauty and the Beast and uses that to kill Alucard, it's actually killable. Through Blood Wolf Dark General.
It is.
So...
I don't know if he'll do that. He still has lethal if he just stays.
He has to know this.
He could just Evo Tina here as well. He could just attack with the Lily. There's a lot of options here.
If you just evolve Beauty. Here it is. And pass turn. It's over. I mean, realistically, he can kill Tina to slop it down a little bit, but...
But yeah, this Beauty and the Beast is just going to go unanswered for a few turns.
There's Revelation! Poor Revelation.
Poor Revelation can't do any damage to Beauty and the Beast either. Wow, that Beauty and the Beast.
Such a good card.
He's
actually just going to go face now. He's going to go face. Yep. He knows. He's like, whatever, Beauty. I can't handle that at all. I have to go face.
Oh my goodness. Elf Twins Assault will be able to take out both of these followers.
But Aaron.
Yes, but Aaron for the defense.
But Aaron.
But Aaron.
Oh my gosh.
What a play. What's funny is that if there was no Aaron there and Botalz knows it, he could have won this game.
Probably, yeah. But Aaron not healing and being a ward wasn't even a problem there. Literally giving the Evolve orb is what was the problem there.
Could actually take out a unit when he played it. What a game.
JaZe with the heads up Beauty and the Beast play. He said he made the best play without even knowing both hands.
Right.
You know, it's whatever when I say it, you know, because I know both hands.
Right.
When JaZe does it.
Exactly. Very awesome. So like we said before the match, JaZe very well suited to take out Botalz with this lineup. So I'm really scared for Botalz here. Again, it's just looking forward. If JaZe does win this match, can he win some more? You know, with the lineup that he has.
That is true.
We'll see.
He does have Odin's.
He does have Odin's.
So it's a card we rip on pretty hard because it's an 8 play point 4/3.
Right. Right.
It's basically only good against Seraph.
Can be good against Dragon if they're packing Ouroboros and that kind of shit.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it can be.
Yeah. All right, so JaZe bringing his Control Blood deck now versus Botalz' Seraph deck.
He's taking a different turn to it. I almost said better, but I won't say better because Blood Moon, you know, is not always better. But it is much different than Botalz' plan.
Well, technically, Botalz is playing Blood Moon too.
Oh, was he?
Yeah,
okay, I was going to say
a completely outlandish deck.
I was going to say he would have loved the Blood Moon last game.
Right, he would
like that would have made all his cards great.
That's exactly that's probably
that's why you have to play the Blood Moon.
Yeah. Interesting. It's like Botalz' Blood deck is something like I've never seen before. It's literally a mix between Vengeance and Control.
He just got back 2 of the same cards.
Oh my goodness. So JaZe's hand looks pretty perfect.
Yeah, his hand looks pretty great.
Yeah, and Botalz is realistically just on that plan of trying to get Seraph down, which he can do. Control Blood is naturally pretty bad against Seraph.
It is,
but
naturally.
JaZe has Odin's.
But JaZe has Odin's.
So your prediction could come true. 2017?
2017 Odin on Seraph.
Targeting Seraph.
Not to mention Seraph being on the draw.
Right.
Is horrible for it.
Gives more opportunities for JaZe not only to just have an Odin answer, but to be able to play it in a relevant time frame.
See Blood Moon come down. It's going to make Belphegor next turn not even do damage. So.
And Belphegor, amazing when it doesn't deal damage to yourself. Just a free draw 2. The stats are insane. 4 play point 4/4.
If 4 play point 4/4 draw 2 sounds really good, it's because it is really good.
Yeah, it's because it's amazing.
It's incredible.
It's absolutely incredible. And what Blood Moon does for these newer Blood decks, if you guys are wondering why they're even playing it these days, is because A, it's a nice answer to Neutral Haven because you get a turn 3 Blood Moon out, and then you can rev as early as turn 4 because you're in pre-Vengeance, essentially. And then it just activates everything in the deck. I mean, he's got Righteous Devils, he's got Diabolic Drains, Belphegor, like all these cards that work. We saw Botalz on the other side. His entire hand was Vengeance-based. So very effective card in these decks. Not
to mention, no one is playing Amulet Destruction. It's not worth it, right? The current available cards. And it's very easy to just not put someone in Vengeance, right? Like I could just not turn your deck on, right? So, you know.
Now, before, maybe in previous sets, it was like, you know, I don't really know what this Vengeance player can do.
Oh, like, yeah, let me just walk right into it. Yeah.
Nowadays, you never see that.
I'll put him at 9 and play Righteous Devil. Righteous Devil, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Whoops.
Okay, I don't want to do that ever. I'll never do this ever again. Yeah.
All right, so we're seeing Botalz try to draw some cards here. Make that Beast Call pop next turn.
And actually, even JaZe actually has Righteous Devil in his hand.
He does. And he could use it if he wants to after the Beast Call pops. He still will have access to both Diabolic Drains next turn as well. So maybe just another filler turn. Maybe play another Baphomet here. Can't really see many other plays in that.
Baphomet into like Mask of Black Death, maybe, depending on what Baphomet gets, is probably kind of good.
That's true. Prevent damage from face. What JaZe really has to be thinking about here, though, he is playing against Seraph and he is playing Control Blood. So he either has to bank on the fact that he draws an Odin, which he doesn't have access to yet, or he needs to be aggressive.
Right,
so
which is kind of why, you know, Baphomet, yeah, we might see an Evo face, although Evo Tiger kind of goes against that.
Right.
Even though it trades. But Baphomet actually might be an important play this turn because even though it's not drawing Odin, it's filtering, right? Exactly. It's one less card you could have drawn, so.
Absolutely. And he's got the backup Blood Moon to basically make Vengeance live the entire game. So that's not going to be an issue. It's realistically just what plan he wants to go for. If he wants to do the filter, if he wants to be aggressive and filter.
I do think his play this turn is going to start out with a Baphomet coming down. I agree, Evolving Face could be good. You know, they do have open deck lists, though. I imagine Tribunal's in Botalz deck, so he may not. Righteous Devil.
So I guess his plan is just putting up as much defense as he possibly can on turn 5 right before Themis becomes active, just to try to push for some aggressive damage here.
That is interesting. Tiger can evolve over this Righteous Devil, but it has Bane, so it's more likely going to kill Belphegor.
Right.
Frog Cleric.
So Botalz just playing kind of like, I don't really have a lot to do this turn type of turn. Gain some life, play a Sacred Plea.
You were done for.
This Righteous Devil's going to go to town.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it'll kill it too. And heal, but...
No, that'll definitely be going face.
Blood Pact.
Face. Perfect. So I think you should Baphomet first before you Blood Pact to increase your chances of drawing an Odin. If he is going to go that route. I can't really see him doing anything else here. He's very not... Okay,
Blood Pact's first, so he actually may just never want to play this Baphomet.
Which is interesting.
That's what that says to me. He does play Baphomet.
Plays it afterwards.
He actually did play the Baphomet. So for those of you wondering why the odds were better, is because Baphomet can only pull blood cards. So pulling one blood card out of your deck means that Blood Pact is now, you know, that 1% better at pulling Odin because it can draw Odin.
Right. Now, interesting choice to use a Drain here.
Double Drain, actually. Even though Righteous Devil would heal him for 2 as well.
And Blood Hungry Matriarch was active for next turn.
JaZe, very interesting plays.
Very interesting plays. Now, getting rid of one of the cards makes sense so he didn't overdraw, but both, not too sure about.
Both is interesting. It's a Hungering Horde.
And now we're just going to kind of see a lull. Like, this is literally just going to go into that mode that we were talking about. Like, is he going to draw Odin in time? Because we know that Botalz has Seraph.
It could end up mattering that he, you know, drew weird there. I mean,
could be.
Well, if he doesn't draw Odin, we'll never know.
I mean, especially in such a high-stakes game, that 1, maybe even up to 3% or whatever it is, like, really matters.
Yes, it does. Blood Moon coming down again, Vengeance being free and active. Doesn't even choose to play Mask of Black Deck or anything. Just not even going to play it.
Yep, Curate going to heal right back up for Botalz, and he's in a perfect position to win this game
He's in a great position. Unless Odin, another Mask. He has to draw Odin next turn.
What if Mask blocked Seraph somehow?
Nerf Mask. Delete Mask.
Delete Mask.
Delete Mask. No.
You can't lose the game if this has counters on it.
That is far too good.
Far too good.
No. Hungry Matriarch not really doing anything at all. Seraph going to get slapped down this turn, and he has the activators in hand. Will JaZe draw Seraph? Or not Seraph, but Odin.
Yeah, Odin.
The other one. The other Seraph.
Right. The anti-Seraph.
Will he draw it? It's a... How many does he have? Does he have 3 or 1?
Let's see. In this version, he has 2 Odins.
2. 2 and 22? He got a Bahamut. That's game.
An Odin.
That's literally game.
JaZe playing the counter decks, still losing to Seraph.
Because... No, Botalz actually expended a Hollow Dogma earlier.
Oh, he did. So he's got a Sister Initiate.
His hand is so squinched up. No, actually, he doesn't have the activators.
He doesn't have all of them. He has 1 of them.
He only has 1, actually. There's a Gruff. That's actually... No, never mind. That's actually not good enough.
That's not good enough.
He doesn't have Themis either.
Oh, my goodness.
Never mind.
No activators.
His hand is so scrunchy. It's like a slinky.
Yeah.
He only has the 1
Botalz.
Poor Botalz. He expended a Hollow Dogma a few turns ago.
Scrunch, I thought those Prism Priestesses were Sister Initiates. I was completely off.
Right. He expended a Hollow Dogma earlier on a Sacred Plea.
That's right. So, but that would only have been 2. I could have sworn those were Sister Initiates. Now, when I look at
it would have only been 2. However, Hollow Dogma cycles itself,
cycle.
which is incredibly important for Seraph.
Does he have any way to live through this turn now?
No.
He's got Dark John, which can clear out one of them.
Dark John can actually banish and evolve now.
He's alive.
Because those aren't the reducers. They're actually black inscriptures. Okay. Now I can see his hand.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. So yes, he will be able to live through this turn. Temptress Vampire will come down to pop Botalz to 1, but that doesn't matter. That's not good enough.
If he draws Odin, it's still the play.
It's still the play.
And he didn't. He could look for it. He could look for it.
Oh.
And he still didn't get it. He doesn't have an evolve.
But it's not death yet. There still needs to be one more activator.
Right. But I'm saying he can't play Emeralda.
He can't play
because
Emeralda.
He doesn't have an evolve.
If he plays Emeralda, he'll just lose because it will target the Seraph and pop it, which you don't want to be doing.
You can only target
Can't
enemy.
play Bahamut for the same reason.
Belphegor, might as well, right?
Might as well.
Might
Draw
as
those
well.
cards. However, if he does this and it's not an Odin, he could overdraw an Odin. Oh, God!
Do you really care if you overdraw Odin? You won't even know. You'll never know.
Well, technically, the Seraph's not going off this turn.
It could.
It could.
It very easily could.
That's not it.
Demis Decree! Demis Decree is amazing here. Although Radiant Sage does draw a card, it could also find another activator.
Oh, no.
It finds a Seraph! What a taunt. Oh my gosh.
I still think this is in, like, now that Botalz can control the board.
Black Inscripture Evolve handles this board. If JaZe does not draw
Oh yeah,
Odin.
JaZe did go down to 8 cards, so he will not overdraw the Odin.
Right. He has to draw Odin, period. Wait, no, he didn't play Black Inscripture. He's at 9, I guess. It doesn't matter.
This game is crazy.
I'm keeping up with too much stuff right now.
I know.
Odin!
Oh no!
Bahamut! He has 2 Odins, a 2 and 16.
Oh my goodness.
He can't do anything.
This is it.
There's nothing he can do.
This is it. All right. So what we previously said, Botalz won.
Now it is happening.
Now it is happening.
Now it actually is happening.
That was a lot more tense than we gave it credit for.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Now that we can see
I hate when players have when their top player has 9 cards in their hand and you can't see what cards those are.
Wow, what a game.
Holy. Okay, so there's nothing you can do, right?
JaZe's got that
The reason I was scared for him is because Temptress Vampire was a card in the back of my head. I knew.
Right.
I was like, wait a minute, wasn't he almost dead like last turn? He puts him to 2, but it doesn't matter. He's going to draw an activator naturally, obviously.
Well, he's
just
Healing
Prayer.
I
know,
here,
but like if he had drawn one more card last turn, he would have just had it anyway. He's going to just play cards out for no reason. He has 2 activators. Seraph only needs 1 more activation to win, and that's going to be the victory for Botalz, putting it to game 3.
So, not sure if Botalz is BMing here or if he actually doesn't know if he's winning immediately. Awesome, there it is. Botalz winning. Okay, winning with Seraph against the anti-Seraph lineup really puts JaZe in a bad spot.
Yes,
because
it does.
If JaZe happens to lose next game and goes to the loser's bracket, he's going to have a wild time trying to climb.
Because JaZe shoved these Odins in his deck.
Right.
He's not going to draw them against Botalz, and he's going to draw them against everybody else.
Exactly.
That's what's going to happen.
Exactly.
And it's, oh man. I have to wonder if it would have been better just to come with an aggro lineup instead of depending on Odin. You know, like the quote-unquote counter to Seraph.
Right.
If you never draw it, it doesn't do anything.
Right.
So
he drew a lot of cards that game, too.
He did.
And
he got
again,
down to 15.
we can talk about that one Baphomet play. It looks very unassuming.
It could have been.
One card,
because Baphomet virtually... I don't know if Baphomet virtually shuffles the deck or not.
It might just pull the top blood card out. If that's the case, then it doesn't really matter.
We don't know if Baphomet pulls the bottom blood card.
That's true.
Right?
That's
like,
true.
we have no idea how Baphomet works. So
I can't imagine that it increases your chances, though. There's no way that it doesn't.
Obviously.
Yes.
Definitely. Botalz bringing his blood back in now.
So I think that Botalz has a slight edge in this mirror matchup-ish because he has more aggressive cards in it. He's got the Blood Wolves. He's got the Dark Generals. He's got the Ala cards.
I think he has a bit more reach, but the existence of Bahamut right here wants me to believe that, and also Temptress Vampire even wants me to believe.
If this game goes late, then Botalz is going to lose. That's like, he's playing a more aggressive version of this deck. And he does have a lot of defensive cards in it and cards that don't really do any damage. Like Blood Moon effectively kind of does damage because it turns on the rest of your cards, but not by itself. And the same thing with Hungering Horde and all of his removal spells.
Azazel.
Yes, there is a 1 of Azazel in JaZe's deck.
So JaZe can draw the 1 of Azazel, but he can't draw the 2 of Odin. JaZe. Come on.
The other funny thing about Botalz' deck is he's playing 3 Dire Bonds in it. So he's playing like these 3 drops that literally just don't progress his board. So he forgo the Succubus plan, forgo the Grimnir plan, forgo the Devil of Vengeance, all this crazy stuff you see. He just wants cards.
He wants cards.
He wants cards and the ability to activate all of his cards.
I mean, I don't blame him. I hate Blood as a faction, but Dire Bond's one of my favorite cards.
Yeah,
so.
Dire Bond's great.
Love Dire Bond.
Draws you a bunch of cards, can set you into Vengeance with Bloody Mary, can kill your opponent.
Hit myself for 6, whatever. You don't get to win, I get to win.
That's
you
right.
know, either I'm killing myself or I'm killing you. You know.
That's right. So Botalz here has the choice between Dire Bond. He could play Blood Moon, and Blood Moon would activate Devil, or I mean not Devil, but
Dark General.
Dark General,
yes.
Jesus. Dark General next turn to kind of be like a pseudo Geno, but way better because it has Storm.
However, it wouldn't be much of a payoff against this faction, against Blood at all, because so much healing. We already know he has access to Righteous Devils. He even has the Zazels and everything, so whatever, 9 to myself. Let's go.
Yep. JaZe actively setting himself into Vengeance here. I don't know if I like this at all, right after a Blood Moon play.
Putting himself in Vengeance when he didn't have any payoff either. That was available immediately. And Meralda is payoff, obviously, but she's not playable. But he drew into Righteous Devil, so it's okay.
Okay. So we'll see here. There could be a Belphegor play here for some value.
Belphegor Evolve is pretty strong here. You know, the Dire Bond is healing you every turn anyway, so you stay out of Vengeance.
Right.
You don't get to actually use it, but...
Is drawing him the extra cards. Nothing, yeah, nothing too strong to, like, basically punish JaZe for the play. JaZe knowing what he can do. I like it.
And realistically, that Righteous Devil draw, wow, double Diabolic Drain. That Righteous Devil draw was so good. Because it evolves into a 4/7.
A 4/7 that Botalz will have to answer. Could take this out easily.
Which also heals him for 4. It has Bane and Drain, so...
If you're in Vengeance. So both players in Vengeance now. I think now that we're getting to this mid-game area and Botalz really doesn't have a clear-cut way to like finish the game, that JaZe is going to start taking over here. He's got a lot of really good cards. Next turn is his only soft spot on turn 6. After that, he kind of just pushes into that late game.
Right. And this is kind of just Botalz, you know, his turn is weird because you don't actually want to evolve into this thing. You kind of just want to go face. But at the same time, putting JaZe back into Vengeance...
This would be the turn to put JaZe in Vengeance if you know, you consider all things like Revelation, whatever, but that Righteous Devil is something you don't, and it looks like he's just going to do it.
Yeah, Righteous Devil, unfortunately, for Botalz is going to just flip this back around, heal him for 4, kill his Blood Wolf.
And unfortunately for Botalz, he's just sitting there with a lot of cards that aren't going to do enough. He's got the Diabolic Drain, he's got the, you know, the Blood Moon, he's got the Hungering Horde, like all value cards, but not end the game cards.
Botalz having to fight through this Righteous Devil, this Mask of Black Death, these Temptress Vampires, and this Diabolic Drain just freshly drawn is going to be impossible. I don't think he can do it.
I won't give Botalz the impossible, okay? And Botalz is a very good player.
Well, okay, it's not fair to give anybody the impossible, but
He definitely can get there, especially with, like, he does have the Bloody Mary stuff. Like, there are shenanigans he can pull off. And he is drawing an extra card next turn, so he's going to have a breadth of options to work with. But they're definitely playing with their life totals very closely. Both players going into Vengeance, back up a little bit. They're going to go back down a little bit.
That's how Blood Mirrors should be.
That's exactly how they should be. Got to understand what your opponent can do.
Yeah.
Yep.
I imagine Mask comes down. He actually is opting not to play Mask here. Not scared of anything.
Okay. Could be a little defensive this turn. Could just Belphegor here to put him back into Vengeance along with a Hungering Horde.
You dare defy?
Just gonna Blood Moon instead, just passing the turn after that.
Wants to play a little safe. I imagine JaZe might play Emeralda just to kill the Amulet here.
Probably, yes.
We talked about not a lot of Amulet destruction in play, but Emeralda, one of those cards that has dual purpose that allows it to be good.
She can randomly kill amulets.
Yeah.
It's a very random effect of hers, but yes.
Yes, can kill any enemy follower or any enemy amulet. Like, very, very unknown to kill amulets, but can. Very good against Polyphonic Roar, for those of you who don't know.
It is.
So very good card against Dragon. And also the added benefit of when you're in Vengeance, you get Storm, which is super powerful.
And this kind of just puts Botalz in a weird spot.
Right.
Like he no longer has Vengeance for free.
Up with that Blood Moon,
yeah,
and now, it's basically just a turn, like, do-over.
Because he had access to Dark General, Bloody Mary, Alucard, all those cards that would have been great with that. Just kind of, you know, whatever now.
So now has to forcefully put himself into Vengeance. is also playing Mask of Black Death.
He is. It's interesting.
And I imagine the Evo, yep, Evo Belfort to take out the Emeralda.
But this is kind of where it doesn't matter. It starts to not matter now.
Yeah, because Revelation can just clear up the board
Yes.
quite easily here, and then there's, like we saw, double Temptress Vampires sitting in the hand of JaZe here.
JaZe can even Blood Moon Revelation if he wants to.
A lot of options. Could even Azazel if he really wants to at some point. Can't see it mattering in this matchup too much.
No, I don't
Putting
see
both
Azazel
players
doing
into
anything.
vengeance and passing seems pretty bad.
8 play point 7/7. Put my opponent exactly where he wants to be. Sounds great to me.
Right.
But I mean, you know, once Revelation is hard castable, once Revelation's castable, Temptress Vampire is castable, Bahamut is castable, Botalz just kind of, you know, fizzles.
Right. Without being the more aggressive version of Vengeance Blood, it's really hard to get those damage points in. Like, he's really trying to play that control game until the combo plan with Bloody Mary, which he does have access to quite a bit of it. Like, he does have a Bloody Mary with 2 Razor Claws in hand, which is essentially effective 10 damage, but he needs 9 play points to do that.
Right. Opts for a Diabolic Drain instead of saving Revelation. You know, it's not worth it to kill 2 followers for him. So.
Ooh. Maybe I see him playing a Bloody... Like, you don't need 2. I would play a Bloody Mary here, see if it sticks, and you might just be able to go crazy. Of course, we know that's not going to happen.
See if Bloody Mary sticks. That's a really good joke. I thought that was funny.
Alright, so opts to pop the mask.
Yeah, he's going to go for the mask this turn, which is just incredible value for JaZe. You know, he wouldn't have minded being back in... Wow. Even a Razor Claw face, putting JaZe at 11. JaZe's eyes go wide. He's like, what is this? What's happening?
What is this nonsense?
What in the world?
I love the mask here. This will prevent a Temptress Vampire from going face.
Right.
Offer your life to me.
Which, you know, it's still fine that she hits that. So.
Absolutely. And now there is that 10 damage, possibly 11 damage to face, but that's not going to be enough this turn. So I imagine Alucard will be the play, just to push some more damage here. It'll actually keep JaZe right out of Vengeance if there was no Blood Moon, but Blood Moon, of course, negates
He
the
actually,
entire
he even
fact.
had, he had double Razor Claw there.
He did. And
Before
he
using
decided to play it earlier than
And it's
the Bloody
so
Marys.
interesting because Bloody Mary double Razor Claw is 10 face damage.
Right. Not exactly sure why he decided to do that, but...
Definitely interesting. He's really saving these Marys. I imagine he'll just play one now. Yeah, just whatever.
Yeah.
Get the
One of
stats on
them's
the
a throwaway. You definitely don't need both. But yeah, like you said, using the Razor Claw before the Bloody Marys kind of gives away a little bit of his
Super
combo
weird.
damage. I would just Bahamut here.
Oh yeah, jam that dragon.
He jams that dragon, he wins the game.
What happens?
There's no comeback for that.
There's no lurching corpse, right? Like
Right.
you're not against Shadow. There's no Revelation doesn't do anything to
And
it.
he still has the Evolution Orb just in case Alucard does come down to heal. Just pop over it.
I mean, Bahamut even survives your own Revelation.
Right.
Your opponent plays followers, you Revelate. You don't even care.
Exactly. One of the actual best combos with Bahamut is Revelation because of the 8 damage. It just kills literally everything.
That isn't Bahamut.
That isn't Bahamut.
Then he just goes face, yeah.
Right. Or like Evolved Israfel or something.
And importantly,
crazy,
it's also going to pop that Mask of Black Death, so he
Right.
actually can go face and kill him.
Exactly.
So I imagine if JaZe jams Bahamut, this is just going to be over for Botalz.
JaZe might want to hold the resource. He might think he's not that much in danger or doesn't need to win right away.
It's possible,
so,
yes,
yeah,
it is
he might
possible.
just play a Revelation. He might, you know, just play a Temptress Vampire again to kill the Bloody Mary.
I don't know. I feel he's holding 3 Revelations.
This is like the,
He's
the
got to
most
feel
perfect
safe.
Bahamut play,
Yes,
yeah.
he's got to feel safe. JaZe, I know you know this. Just slap down Bahamut. Yes,
There
here
we
it
go.
is.
I just think it's actually hilarious that Botalz won with the Seraph deck out of all of his
Right?
lineup.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And that's actually it. No, Botalz can't do anything.
Yep, he's got a ward here, but of course we know that's not going to be good enough.
JaZe is going to pop the cap off of this bottle
Yep.
and watch him fizzle. He just can't. He can't do
And
anything.
he can't believe it either. You can see the shrug from Botalz. He knows
He
what's
took
going
2
on.
extra damage there, actually, but there's an evolve available for Bahamut anyway. It can go to a 15-15, so
Right, right.
I seem to have
he just
Yeah, he
surrenders
knows.
even. He just knows. Wow,
He
poor
knows.
Botalz. Oh
Wow.
my gosh.
Wow, wow, wow. What a matchup. JaZe getting the victory dance going.
JaZe defeats Botalz and actually puts himself into a really great spot here, moving forward into the next round here in the winner's semis. So.